My brother took his inheritance early and accused me of theft when Dad left him nothing in the will. Growing up, my older brother Jake was the golden child. He was the one who got straight A's without trying, the star athlete, the one our parents bragged about at every family gathering. I was just the quiet kid who helped Dad in his auto repair shop after school. Our dad built his auto repair business from nothing. Started with just one garage bay and a toolbox. By the time we were teenagers, he owned 3 shops across town and employed 20 mechanics. He always said the business would be ours one day. Jake and I would run it together. That was the plan. When Jake turned 22, he came to Dad with a proposal. He wanted to go to business school in New York. Top program, crazy expensive. Dad was thrilled. His son at an Ivy League school. Jake promised he'd come back after graduation and help expand the business. Just give me 4 years, Dad. I'll come back with everything I learned and we'll franchise this thing nationwide. Dad liquidated assets to pay for it, sold one of the shops, took out loans, gave Jake a lump sum that was essentially half the business's value at the time. Before Jake left, Dad made us both sit down. He looked at Jake and said, "This is your inheritance, son. You're getting it now instead of later. The rest stays in the business." Jake agreed, even signed papers saying he understood he was taking his inheritance early. I stayed, worked 60-hour weeks in the shops, learned every aspect of the business from the ground up. When Dad had his first heart attack 5 years later, I was the one who kept everything running. When he had his second one 3 years after that, I was the one sleeping in the hospital chair. Jake never came back. After business school, he got a job at some consulting firm, then another job at a startup. He'd visit for Christmas, sometimes Thanksgiving. Always had excuses about why he couldn't move back yet. "Just building my resume," he'd say. "It'll help the business when I come back." Dad passed away last year, 13 years after Jake left for school. In those 13 years, I'd grown the business to 6 locations. We'd added a parts distribution arm. Annual revenue had quadrupled. Dad and I did it together, but really, I did most of the heavy lifting the last 5 years when his health declined. The will reading was straightforward. Everything went to me. The business, the properties, Dad's house, all of it. There was a note from Dad explaining that Jake had already received his inheritance and had signed documents acknowledging this. Jake flew in from San Francisco where he was living. When the lawyer read the will, Jake's face went white, then red. "This is a mistake," he said. "Half of everything should be mine." The lawyer showed him the papers he'd signed 13 years ago, the records of the money transferred, the shop that was sold to fund his education. Jake turned to me, his face twisted with rage. "You manipulated him," he said. "You turned Dad against me while I was gone. You stole my inheritance." I sat there, genuinely shocked. "You got your inheritance," I said. "You took it to New York. You chose to leave. That was for school. That wasn't my inheritance. Dad literally called it your inheritance. You signed papers." Jake stood up, knocking his chair back. "You were always jealous of me. You poisoned him against me. You're nothing but a greedy thief who took advantage of a sick old man." The lawyer tried to intervene, but Jake stormed out. He called me that night, then the next day, then sent dozens of texts calling me every name imaginable. Said I was a con artist. Said he'd contest the will. Said I'd stolen his birthright. 2 weeks later, his lawyer contacted me. Jake wanted to settle. He'd take just one shop and call it even. I said no. Then he wanted the house. I said no. Then he wanted Dad's classic Mustang. I said no. He texted me one last time. "You're disgusting. You watched me leave and plotted this whole thing. Dad wanted us to run the business together and you stole it." I texted back, "Dad wanted a lot of things. You chose something else. You got your inheritance and invested it in yourself. I invested myself in the inheritance. That's the difference." Then I blocked his number and went back to running the business Dad and I built together while Jake was building his resume.